The Slendytubbies, Iceberg Explained. Slendytubbies is a horror game about the Teletubbies, originally starting as just a simple parody of Slender the Eight Pages where you have to collect custards while avoiding Tinky Winky. The game would become extremely popular with big YouTubers like Markiplier playing it, and eventually it would go from a goofy parody game about Teletubbies to an entire series. I've been a fan of Slendytubbies for a pretty long time, so I decided to make an iceberg about it. If you're watching this, then you definitely know what an iceberg is, considering there's like 7 billion iceberg videos and every single one of them explains what an iceberg is, so I guess I'll just quit yapping and dive in. Slender the Eight Pages. As stated earlier, Slender is the game Slendytubbies was inspired by. The game is based on Slenderman, and in it you have to collect pages while being stalked by him, with each page making him grow more aggressive. It was one of the first big horror games on YouTube, similar to FNAF and others, though eventually it would lose relevancy, and now you really don't hear anybody talk about it outside of memes.
I'm Slenderman! Find my pages! Listen to my voice and you'll find the key!
Stolen models. A fake rumor that I've seen a lot is that the models in Slendytubbies 2 and 3 were stolen and just ripped from other games. For example, the Tinky Tank is a tank from Left 4 Dead, Lake Dipsy is the regenerator from Resident Evil 4, Poe is a necromorph from Dead Space, etc., but this is just not true at all. Most of the models used for the main infected are actually from an FPS creator pack containing monsters you could put in your games, with characters like the Tinky Tank actually being a retextured model called the Dante Beast. This is also the case in Slendytubbies 3, with most models being purchased from the Unity asset store. 2 Dipsies. In Slendytubbies 2, a ton of new maps were added with new characters roaming them. One of these is the Secret Center, which has the reanimated, headless corpse of Dipsy carrying a chainsaw hunting the player. Then there's the lake, which also has Dipsy looking for the player. This version of him has a new design with him looking a lot more reptilian and also still having his head, which is really weird. Some people think that Lake Dipsy is non-canon, while others have come up with a theory that when Dipsy was killed, the infection caused his severed head to grow a new body. Slendytubbies 3, the Apocalypse DLC. The Apocalypse DLC was basically the closest thing to Slendytubbies 4, being focused on the events after the Slendytubbies 3 campaign, with the Guardian, Miles, and Anne having survived the newborns, but unfortunately it was cancelled, with the only thing being made for it was a demo. As for the reason it was cancelled, one of the developers stated that it was due to the community being too toxic, though he would later backpedal on this and say that it was actually due to him not wanting to work on the project anymore. Regardless of why it was cancelled, it's still really sad we'll never get a conclusion to Slendytubbies 3's story. Teletubbies are failed humans. In the Apocalypse DLC, it's revealed by Miles and Anne that humanity went extinct due to a large-scale epidemic. The surviving humans would make a machine that could produce more people, but instead, it would create Teletubbies, which is like, how does that happen? How do you mess up so much that a machine created to make people malfunctions and creates weird 8-foot-tall creatures that have TV stomachs? The Guardian. The Guardian is the main character of every Slendytubbies game. Originally just being the player character, Slendytubbies 3 would expand on him, making him watch over the Teletubbies in some sort of experiment, monitoring them and making sure nothing happens. Though, something would happen, as Tinky Winky would get a little silly and murder all of his friends. Because of this, the Guardian would eventually come out of the secret lair and go through the main campaign. Slendytubbies 3 would also make him a bit of a blank slate, as the player can choose different dialogue options like a Fallout game or something. Also, for some reason, some people headcanon that his name is Walton or Walter, which I don't really get. ZeoWorks. Sean Toman, more commonly known as ZeoWorks, is the creator of the Slendytubbies games. Not much more to be said, I mean, he's the GOAT.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
YouTubers who have played Slendytubbies. One of the main reasons Slendytubbies became so popular is due to YouTubers like Markiplier, Corey Extension, Dashy, and more playing Slendytubbies 1 and 2. Markiplier did also play the demo to Slendytubbies 3, but never actually played the full game. Where's my damn Slendytubbies 3 Let's Play, Mark? Nunu calls everything. Near the end of Teletubbies 3, it's revealed that Nunu, the vacuum cleaner, infected the custard with a virus. Starting with the main Teletubbies custard machine, causing everyone to become infected as they all ate the tainted custard. Then, Nunu would infect the custard facility, which would make the virus spread rapidly, infecting many Teletubbies. And finally, he would infect the machine that creates Teletubbies, causing newborns to be created. After the boss fight with Poe, the Guardian slices through Nunu with a chainsaw, putting an end to the AI, though this doesn't do much to stop the infection. Nunu states the reason that he did all this is because Teletubbies are apparently weak and turning them into mindless monsters is apparently better. I don't think he really thought this one through. Day, dusk, and night. In Slendytubbies 1, you have the option to choose between 3 variants of the mainland, set during different times of day. That being day, dusk, and night. Day being for little babies who play Garna Ban, dusk which is a little spooky, and night which is the scariest. This feature would be carried over to Slendytubbies 2 with some maps having day and night versions, though dusk is missing. However, in Slendytubbies 3, dusk will be brought back as well as most maps having 3 versions to choose from, with some even having different characters on them, like the day and dusk versions of the mainland having Tinky Winky on them, while the night variant has him in his Tinky Tank form. Multiplayer. Multiplayer has been a staple of the Slendytubbies series, being present since the very first game. In Slendytubbies 1, there's 2 game modes. Competitive mode, which has players competing over who can collect the most custards, while the other game mode is versus mode, where one player controls the Guardian and has to collect custards, while the other controls Tinky Winky and must kill the other player. In Slendytubbies 2, multiplayer is basically the same with the exception of co-op replacing competitive, having players work together to collect custards instead of competing over them. Now, the multiplayer in Slendytubbies 3 is where things get interesting with a new survival game mode, where instead of running from the monsters, you take out an AK-47 and gun them down. It's basically just Killing Floor but with Teletubbies. In fact, some of the newborns are even heavily based on the specimens from Killing Floor, but overall, it's pretty good. Then there's also the Infection game mode, which has 2 teams, Survivors and Infected. Wait a minute, I've seen this before. The Survivors have to defend against the Infected for a certain amount of time, while the Infected have to kill the Survivors, with dead Survivors respawning as Infected. Multiplayer is one of the main reasons Slendytubbies became so popular, as big YouTubers like Markiplier and Yami Mash would play the game together.
I see you!
Hello!
Hello!
There's a delicious custard up here waiting for you.
Why don't you come down here and I'll go up there?
Okay, I'll come down there. Wait!
Slendytubbies 3 campaign QTEs. So for some reason, the Slendytubbies 3 campaign has quick time events that appear during certain parts of the game, like the chase sequence of Tinky Winky or the Guardian climbing rocks. I just want to say that I love how during the chase sequence of Tinky Winky, there's a part where you just run past him and he stands still, like, why is he just sitting there? Pop-ups. Pop-ups are a mechanic in Slendytubbies 1 and 2 where randomly while playing, a weird image will flash on screen with the sound playing. In Slendytubbies 1, most are showing the corpses of the Teletubbies as well as a close-up of Tinky Winky's face, while in Slendytubbies 2, some of the images are genuinely creepy and downright bizarre. I've definitely been jump-scared by some of these, but I understand why Zealworks got rid of them, as they could definitely be seen as cheap. Like, you might as well have a picture that says boo flash on screen, though they are apparently being brought back for the Slendytubbies Guardian collection. Also, fun fact, one of the pop-ups is a cosplay of Lala and Dipsy. It's what the Brood Tubbies from Slendytubbies 3 are inspired by. Also, this pop-up is an edited version of a really weird art piece called New Millennium by a Polish artist named Jaroslaw Kolkowski, and it's what the newborns are based on. Custards. Custards play a huge role in the series, with every game being about collecting them, as well as them being the main cause of the infection. They're also the Teletubbies' main source of food in the original show, besides Tubby Toast, of course. Slendytubbies 3 boss fights. Near the end of the Slendytubbies 3 campaign, the Guardian encounters Nunu in the satellite station, only to find out that he was the one behind the infection, but before the Guardian has a chance to do anything, one of the voice trumpets explodes on the ground, revealing it's actually a giant robot. This then begins the boss fight against the announcer. Shortly after this, another boss fight begins against Poe, who has 3 phases, and if you die, you get sent all the way back to the announcer fight, so you better be careful. The boss fights in Slendytubbies 3 are a little out of place, like, it goes from a horror game to Metal Gear Rising really fast, but overall, I think they're pretty cool. Teletubby Training Maze. Introduced in Slendytubbies 2, the Training Maze is a giant labyrinth that has the most characters in any map throughout the entire series. It's roamed by Lake Dipsy, Lala, Poe, and a single newborn. Combining both the size of the map as well as the amount of monsters in it, the Training Maze is one of the hardest maps in the entire series. The map is also in Slendytubbies 3, but it's a lot smaller and is only roamed by the Aerotubby, who we'll get to soon. Character customization. Being able to customize your Teletubby has been a part of the series since Slendytubbies 1 and 2, with you being able to change the color of your fur or slap a picture on them. But in Slendytubbies 3, it would be greatly improved with hats that you could buy with custards. Some of the notable ones are Dipsy's hat, Santa Claus's hat, a cowboy hat, a military helmet, a bowler hat, demon horns, a warrior helmet, a top hat, 3D glasses, a plague doctor mask, blue fire which literally looks like a TF2 unusual effect, and way more. There's also hats referencing other medias like a traffic cone, which might be a PVZ reference, a hockey mask, which is likely a reference to Friday the 13th, Clementine's cap from Telltale's The Walking Dead, Mario's cap, Luigi's cap, Dipper Pine's cap from Gravity Falls, and a Pokemon cap. There's also a Make Teletubby Land Great Again hat, which is an insane thing to reference. Also, there's an eye patch. Ruption Shine. Ruption Shine is a popular artist in the Slendytubbies community who's made a lot of art for the games, with some even being officially used by Zealworks. He's also the creator of the Brewtubbies. And with Lair 1 over, we are now going deeper down the iceberg and venturing farther into the mainland, with us now entering the secret lair. Best Friends Trio. During the chase with Tinky Winky, the players to escape either the mountain or the cave, which were run by the Yeti-Tubby and Cave-Tubby respectively, but these two are actually connected. In the cave, you can find several notes written by someone who is slowly going insane. Whoever wrote these were friends of the Yeti-Tubby, Arrow-Tubby, and Cave-Tubby before they were infected, and were being experimented on by the Coatman, who we'll get to later. The Yeti-Tubby's robot servant also says he escaped from the mainland, which means the Best Friends Trio might have been the test subjects before the main Teletubbies. January 10th Incident. The January 10th incident was an event that happened on January 10th, 2017, where the Zealworks website experienced a hacking attack and had to be shut down and completely remade from scratch, causing many things on the website to become completely lost. You can actually still go on the old website by using the Wayback Machine. Slendytubbies 1 and 2 aren't canon. There are a lot of differences between the lore of Slendytubbies 1 and 2 compared to Slendytubbies 3, like the Guardian being a police officer who is sent to investigate what happened and other things such as the maps being different. Then there's the original lore for Slendytubbies 2, which was on Zealworks' old website, you know, the one that got taken down because of the hacking attack. Because of this, Slendytubbies 1 and 2 have been deemed non-canon, basically making Slendytubbies 3 a remake. Slendytubbies is a broken masterpiece. Slendytubbies is a broken masterpiece is an amazing video created by the YouTuber Sour Now. This is basically a Slendytubbies retrospective. I highly suggest you go watch it if you haven't already, as well as subscribe to him, as his videos are great and are a pretty big inspiration to me. Slendytubbies Anniversary Edition. Released in 2015, Slendytubbies Anniversary Edition is a full remake of the original Slendytubbies, made to celebrate the 3-year anniversary of Slendytubbies 1. The game's graphics are significantly improved, with the game looking way better than the original. And there's also the feature to switch between the new and original graphics, similar to the Halo Master Chief Collection. Also, for some reason it's no longer on the Zealworks website, making it really hard to actually play. It was also on the App Store for a while, and I have very fond memories of playing it with my cousin. Newborns with arms. In Slendytubbies 2, the newborns originally had arms. This is actually kind of hard to see as they weirdly clip through their body. In all the games afterwards, the newborns were redesigned to be missing their arms, which I prefer as it makes them look a lot more unique. Old crawler model. At the end of Slendytubbies 3, the Guardian has the option to side with Nunu, where he's brought to the custard facility, where Nunu asks the Guardian to consume the custard. If you accept the offer, then the Guardian will jump into the vat of custard and become infected. But if you say no, Poe will cut the Guardian in half, causing him to fall into the vat of custard and become infected anyway. This version of the Guardian is called the Crawler, and its design has changed quite a bit over the years. Originally, the Crawler looked pretty bad, though we do get to see that the Guardian has an antenna due to the fact that his hat is missing. Eventually, his design was updated to have a parasite or something coming out of him, similar to a scorpion's tail. He also has his hat back and a weirdly cat-like face. The Scythe-Tubby. Okay, this is a weird one. So the Scythe-Tubby is an OC that was added into Slendytubbies 3, similar to the Brewtubbies. He also had his own map called the Military Base, but eventually he was removed. But I'm really not sure why. The wiki states that he was removed as its creator wanted to distance himself from the Slendytubbies community, while others say he was removed due to controversy surrounding his creator, who is a very bad person, but we'll get to that later in the Iceberg. Ron. Ron is a character that you encountered during the campaign in the satellite station. He was a worker who had managed to survive Dipsy's massacre. Ron is pretty messed up as he had an encounter with Dipsy that he barely managed to survive. He tells the Guardian that he needs to find a keycard and contact the military, and almost as soon as you go through the vent to get said keycard, he's found by Dipsy and brutally murdered. There's also an infected worker character in the sandbox mode who some people think is supposed to be him due to them having the same closed eye. Humanity went extinct. This was already mentioned earlier, so I'm really not sure why I decided to add it twice. Slendytubbies 2 multiplayer no longer working. So the multiplayer servers for Slendytubbies 2 were shut down due to people cheating and hacking, making it impossible to play anymore. which sucks. Though apparently someone did make a version of Slendytubbies 2 with functioning multiplayer, but I haven't played it, so I have no idea if it actually works. Slendytubbies 2D. Slendytubbies 2D is a 2D remake of Slendytubbies, featuring maps from across the series. The game itself is basically the same as the normal Slendytubbies games, but you have to collect custards while being chased by a monster. But instead of it being 3D, it's in 2D. I'm really not too big on Slendytubbies 2D, like, it's not bad, but it's also not really good, like, it's just not scary to me. Though I will say it does kind of remind me of Aloni. Slendytubbies Worlds. Slendytubbies Worlds is a spin-off that is pretty different from the other games, being less focused on horror and more on roleplay, with it also being a lot more cartoony and colorful. Collect and Versus are still here, but the main game mode is an open world where you can interact with other players and explore maps. I haven't really played it that much, so I don't have much to say about it. Miles. Miles is an important character in Slendytubbies 3, showing up at the ending and appearing as a main character in the Scrapped Apocalypse DLC. I don't really have much to say about him except why is he so mad in the Apocalypse DLC? Like, bro, there was no need for him to punch the Guardian. Like, what did he do to you? Also, there was going to be a part in the Apocalypse DLC where the Guardian, Miles, and Anne would go to the custard facility, and it would be revealed that Dipsy had survived, and he would then proceed to kill Miles. But since the DLC was scrapped, this never came to fruition. Terror Engine. Terror Engine is a game engine created by Zealworks, and is what Slendytubbies 2 runs on. Slendytubbies 3 Campaign Alternate Choices. In the Slendytubbies 3 campaign, you can make different decisions that impact the story in different ways. Some examples include not waking up Lala in the beginning segment will have her live and show up in the outskirts uninfected, while if you wake her up, she will be killed by Tinky Winky and show up infected. Of course, there's also the mountain and the cave and the different endings like siding with Nunu. Anne is a major character in the Slendytubbies 3 campaign as well as the Apocalypse DLC. Though just like Miles, I also don't really have much to say about her. Oh yeah, some people for some reason ship her with the Guardian, but I'm really not much of a shipping guy. Fan games. There are a lot of Slendytubbies fan games. Just searching Slendytubbies on GameJolt yields tons of results, though some notable ones include Slendytubbies The Devil Among Us and Slendytubbies They're Coming, with the best I've seen being Slendytubbies 0, which is a full reimagining of the original Slendytubbies, and it is genuinely terrifying. Like, seriously, you need to play it. It is so good. It is probably one of the best pieces of Slendytubbies media ever. Like, it's so good. It's great. Just play it. Newborns were called Skintubbies. So in the files of Slendytubbies 2, newborns are referred to as Skintubbies for, well, obvious reasons. But they were later renamed to newborns, which we all know them as. The Lion and the Bear in Slendytubbies 2. So there was an episode of the original Teletubbies show called The Lion and the Bear that had these weird cutouts as characters, and this apparently traumatized a lot of kids, as if the show isn't already bizarre and kinda creepy already. This is referenced in Slendytubbies 2, as on the main menu you can see clips of it on Dipsy's TV screen. OCs. Like most series, the Slendytubbies fandom has a lot of OCs, with characters like the Brute-Tubbies and the Psych-Tubby being OCs that were officially added into the game. Slendytubbies 3 Demo. The Slendytubbies 3 demo was released in 2015, which is only a couple years before the full game came out, and it is really weird. There's a lot of differences between the demo and the full game, such as everything looking extremely shiny, like, are the Teletubbies made of metal? As well as this really strange piano cover of the Teletubbies theme playing in the background. Also, during the chase with Tinky Winky, there's a scene where Poe looks at one of the voice trumpets from the show, and this isn't the full game, except the speaker is just gone. So Poe just looks at nothing. Slendytubbies Guardian Collection. The Slendytubbies Guardian Collection is the final Slendytubbies game, currently being worked on by Zealworks, and it looks absolutely insane. It's going to feature all 3 Slendytubbies games completely remade from the ground up, as well as new content. Zealworks does development streams, so you should really check those out if you want to know more. Slendytubbies 2 maps and Slendytubbies 3. In an update to Slendytubbies 3, all the maps from Slendytubbies 2 were added, which is pretty cool, as you can mess around with things like Sandbox and other things that aren't in Slendytubbies 2. Though it does have some downsides, like for example, the monsters that roam them use the versions from Slendytubbies 3 instead of the much scarier versions from Slendytubbies 2. Also, it is extremely buggy. Like, according to the wiki, it is impossible to beat the Slendytubbies 2 Outskirts map as the custards are placed under the map. This issue is also present on the satellite station as a custard is under the map, but you can crouch to pick it up. Then there's the fact that Dipsy is completely absent from the lake map, like he's just gone. And with that, the first part of the Slendytubbies Iceberg is now over. But before the video ends, I have some things I'd like to say. So, this video took way too long to make, mostly due to me procrastinating, but it's finally done, and I hope you enjoyed it. Part 2 is going to be really big, so it'll probably take a while to get made, but in the meantime, I'll be making videos about other things, so stick around if you want to see more from me. Anyway, thanks for watching, goodbye.